the eighth wonder of the world, André.
But first, I don't know I'm going to be tall because my mother is 5'2", my father is 6'2".
They said he wasn't just a man, he was a mountain. André the Giant stood taller than most and hit harder than all. With hands the size of dinner plates and a stare that could silence a room, he didn't need to say much. One slam from André could end a match, and one wrong move could end a friendship. Though he was known for being gentle and good-natured outside the ring, André didn't tolerate nonsense. Respect was everything to him, and when someone disrespected him, crossed the line, or just rubbed him the wrong way, the gentle giant became vicious. Before his death, André the Giant revealed 6 wrestlers who made the mistake of crossing him. Big John Studd. André the Giant wasn't just big, he was larger than life. Standing an imposing 7 foot 4 inches tall and weighing over 500 pounds, he was a walking legend. A man whose name still resonates through the halls of wrestling history. But André was more than just a wrestler. He was a phenomenon. Behind his calm, gentle smile, however, was a man who didn't suffer fools in the squared circle, and there were a few wrestlers he couldn't stand. One of the most explosive rivalries of his nearly 2-decade WWE career was with a man who boldly called himself the true giant of wrestling, Big John Studd. Their feud wasn't just scripted tension. The dislike was genuine and mutual. So, how did it all begin? It started in 1982, when Studd arrived in the WWF, carrying with him a villainous persona and a cocky gimmick. He brought a stretcher to the ring and made it his mission to beat opponents so badly they had to be wheeled out. This wasn't just a character, it was a declaration of war. When Studd claimed he couldn't be slammed and dared anyone to try for $10,000, he lit a fire under André. André accepted the challenge, and chaos soon followed. Studd, alongside his manager Classy Freddie Blassie, pulled every dirty trick to avoid being slammed. They were clinging to the ropes, interfering with Blassie's help, and playing foul at every turn. But André wasn't having any of it. In one legendary match, André slammed Studd so hard that it collapsed the entire ring. And that was only the beginning. The rivalry intensified in 1984 when Studd joined forces with the devious Bobby the Brain Heenan and fellow heel Ken Patera. Together, they ambushed André during a tag match, viciously attacking him and even cutting off his hair in front of a stunned crowd. This feud was no longer just about dominance. It had become personal and fast. At the very first WrestleMania, their grudge match reached a fever pitch. The stakes were high. If André couldn't slam Studd, he would be forced to retire. In front of a roaring Madison Square Garden crowd, André hoisted Studd into the air like a sack of flour and slammed him down at exactly 5:54, sending the audience into a frenzy and pocketing the $10,000 prize. But Studd wasn't done provoking the giant. Shortly after, he teamed up with another monster, 468-pound King Kong Bundy, and the duo relentlessly targeted André. They attacked him at every opportunity, at one point injuring André's sternum during a brutal double assault in Toronto. With André sidelined nursing injuries, Studd and Bundy dominated the tag team division, mocking him at every chance. True to his nature, André refused to back down. He recruited babyface allies like Hulk Hogan and Junkyard Dog to even the odds. Their rivalry spilled into WrestleMania 2 in an over-the-top 20-man battle royal featuring not just wrestlers, but NFL stars as well. It was a spectacle, and André was the ringmaster. Studd obsessed over eliminating the football players, successfully tossing out Super Bowl champ William the Refrigerator Perry, only for Perry to bait him into a handshake and then throw Studd out in classic payback. In the end, André emerged victorious. But Andre's health was beginning to decline. Suffering from gigantism and acromegaly, his body was starting to betray him. The WWF found a creative way to keep him involved. Andre returned to the ring masked as the Giant Machine, teaming with Big Machine and Super Machine in a mysterious tag team that baffled fans and enraged Stud and Bundy. Manager Heenan launched a full-scale crusade to unmask the machines and expose Andre, but they failed every time. The gimmick was ridiculous, yes, but it was also brilliant. Stud couldn't prove a thing. Andre was everywhere and nowhere at once. Behind the scenes, the tension remained equally real and intense. Andre reportedly disliked Stud's arrogance and refusal to sell moves from wrestlers he didn't respect. In a 1986 match against the massive Ted Arcidi, Stud was visibly stiff and uncooperative, believing Arcidi was just a gym body with no real wrestling skill. Andre, who valued technique over sheer muscle, shared that sentiment, and his patience with Stud was wearing thin. Stud and Bundy's alliance began to unravel by the end of 1986. After a loss to the British Bulldogs, the two argued in the ring, teasing a feud that ultimately fizzled out. Stud's last WWF match came later that year. Though he disappeared from the ring, Stud's shadow lingered. In an unexpected twist, just before WrestleMania 3, where Andre famously faced Hulk Hogan, Stud publicly supported Andre, claiming Hogan had manipulated their friendship to avoid facing him. Then, just as abruptly, Stud retired. And with that, the Giant rivalry ended. Andre the Giant's career was filled with unforgettable moments and iconic matches, but his feud with Big John Studd stood apart. It was more than a storyline. It was real heat between two men, both massive in stature and ego, battling not only for dominance, but for identity. The next person Andre the Giant disliked will shock you. Bad News Brown. Bad News Brown and Andre's rivalry is definitely one for the books. Andre's dislike for Brown was so intense that Andre allegedly took a dump on Brown during a match. So how did this moment come to be? Well, keep watching to find out. In pro wrestling, respect is currency. And if you disrespect Bad News Brown, especially on racial grounds, you're bound to pay. That's exactly what happened during a tense tour of New Japan Pro Wrestling, where Brown and Andre the Giant shared a locker room and nearly had a fight. It started on a bus ride in Japan. Brown overheard Andre making racial slurs from the back of the bus. According to Don Callis, Brown's mentee and longtime friend, the words didn't sit well, and Brown wasn't going to let it slide. Speaking on Talk is Jericho. In 2015, Callis recalled Brown telling Andre, "Keep that asterisk, asterisk, asterisk to yourself." Andre didn't back down and shot back with a F asterisk, asterisk, asterisk U. That's when things escalated. Brown, not the type to bluff, calmly removed his earrings and reached into his bag. Callis said Hulk Hogan, sitting nearby, thought Brown was reaching for a gun and dove for cover. Brown then stormed to the front of the bus and told the driver to stop. He wanted Andre off the bus, ready to throw hands. But Andre didn't budge. The ride eventually continued, quiet but tense. The next day in the hotel lobby, Brown confronted Andre again. This time, he directly challenged the Giant to a fight. Andre tried to brush it off, saying, "Don't worry about it," and claimed he was made fun of for being Polish. Brown didn't care. "I don't want to hear that stuff again," he told him. Later, Brown admitted to Callis that Andre probably would have killed him in a shoot fight. But he had to say something. He had to stand on principle. Their rocky history didn't end there. Years later, in what many consider a final jab of disrespect, Andre allegedly defecated in the ring during a match with Brown, then hit him with his infamous butt bump move anyway, Brown, of course, never forgave him. Because to Bad News Brown, respect wasn't about size, it was about dignity. And even giants had to answer for crossing the line. Kamala. In wrestling, being big doesn't always translate to being buddies. You would think giants in the industry might stick together, bonding over cramped flights, aching joints, and oversized boots. But more often than not, what happens is giant heat. A quiet but deadly rivalry between men who know there's only room for one monster at the top. That was the story with André the Giant and Kamala, two towering legends who were anything but friends in their early days. Kamala, billed as the terrifying Ugandan giant, played a wild, barefoot savage in the ring. It was all a gimmick, of course, crafted by Jerry Lawler to create fear and awe. But even outside the ring, Kamala wasn't someone to cross. Standing at 6'7" and over 350 pounds, he had a calm demeanor but a short fuse when disrespected. And in 1983, things escalated. Kamala and André the Giant were booked to face off for Mid-South Wrestling. On paper, it was a dream match, two titans clashing for supremacy. But behind the scenes, it quickly became a nightmare. Their first match didn't go well. A miscommunication in the ring led to tempers flaring backstage. André, known to be blunt and sometimes condescending, called Kamala a dumb son of a bee asterisk. That was enough. Kamala swung hard. He busted André's lip with a few punches. But the heat didn't stop there. The next night, Kamala didn't just come ready to wrestle, he came strapped, furious, and still feeling disrespected. He brought a .357 Magnum to the locker room. When André entered, Kamala pulled the weapon on him. He wasn't there to play anymore. André, clearly stunned and scared, quickly apologized. From that point forward, the vibe between them shifted. According to Kamala, André never disrespected him again. In fact, they ended up working multiple matches together in WWE, mostly on live tours. And, ironically, it was André's influence that helped get Kamala a shot with Vince McMahon's WWF. Still, Kamala never fully trusted the environment. Kamala always carried that gun whenever he was working with André. Kamala later admitted in a 2014 interview that he even carried the gun in the ring. Though they eventually got along professionally, the early tension was real. And it wasn't uncommon. In the world of giants, respect had to be earned, sometimes through fear, sometimes through fists. Over the years, Kamala wrestled many of the era's biggest names, from Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, and even Mick Foley, all of whom later praised him as a kind, humble soul who was easy to work with. But behind that calm face was a man who had been burned by the business. His first WWF run in 1984 was short-lived. He returned in 1986, stuck around until 1987, and came back once again in 1992 for another brief stint. What kept pushing him out? Money. Kamala was often the guy who made other stars look good. But while they cashed massive checks, he barely saw a fraction. In his own words, "The main event guys I wrestled made 50 times more than me." He felt cheated, used for his image but underpaid for his efforts. Worse, in the locker room, he wasn't always treated with respect. Agents would ask him to leave the space if bigger stars needed it. It was a cold reminder of his place in the pecking order, despite his size and impact. After retiring in 2010, Kamala's life took a darker turn. He faced multiple health crises, diabetes, double leg amputations, and eventually COVID-19 complications that triggered a fatal cardiac arrest in 2020. He passed away, but not without leaving a legacy as one of wrestling's most unforgettable characters. He wasn't just a gimmick. He was a man who stood up for himself, even when that meant pulling a gun on one of the most legendary figures in wrestling history. In a world where giants often stepped on each other to get ahead, Kamala demanded his respect and got it. The Ultimate Warrior. The beef between André the Giant and the Ultimate Warrior didn't start backstage. It actually happened in the ring. At the time, Warrior was on the rise in WWE. He was like a pre-Goldberg, mysterious, jacked, and intense. His energy and look made him a star, but when it came to talking or wrestling, he struggled. He couldn't cut long promos, and his in-ring ability was limited. Worse, he was known for working stiff, meaning his punches, clotheslines, and moves hit too hard, even during choreographed matches. No matter who he faced, Warrior rarely toned it down. He was reckless. Some wrestlers, like Rick Rude, reportedly beat him up for it backstage, but no one humbled Warrior like André the Giant. By then, André was in rough shape. He could barely move due to his health, but was still a major name in WWE, so he was used to help boost newer stars like Warrior. During a run of House Intel I used shows, Warrior faced André 48 times. Each match followed a similar pattern. Warrior would win fast to look strong, usually with a few big moves, including a stiff clothesline that rocked André every time. André warned him multiple times, "Tone it down." But Warrior kept blasting him with the same forceful lariat, night after night. Then one night, André had enough. As Warrior came running full speed for the clothesline spot, André didn't move. Instead, he raised his massive fist and Warrior ran face first into it. Boom! Knocked out cold. André didn't even bother pinning him. He just walked out of the ring and left Warrior lying there. The next night, Warrior changed. Same spot, same move. But this time, the clothesline was soft. Bobby Heenan saw it and said André smiled after the match. From then on, Warrior was noticeably more respectful around André. Backstage, he went out of his way to be nice, bringing André gifts, praising him, and showing admiration. Jacques Rougeau, aka the Mountie, confirmed this years later. He said Warrior was usually full of himself and rubbed a lot of wrestlers the wrong way. But not André. Warrior never challenged him. He was afraid of him. Rougeau said on Jim Ross's podcast, he never pulled that tough guy act around André. He knew better. Years later, Warrior tried to rewrite the story. He claimed he and André got along, that André liked him and respected his work ethic. He even said that if André really hated someone, he wouldn't work with them at all. Since they wrestled dozens of times, Warrior insisted the Giant must have liked him, but the infamous lariat incident really happened. It's one of the most talked about backstage lessons in wrestling history. It showed how André, even in poor health, still commanded respect and kept the locker room in check. Hulk Hogan and many others have said the same thing. André didn't yell or fight. But if a wrestler got too full of themselves, especially in the ring, André made sure they learned the hard way. He did it to the Iron Sheik, and he did it to the Ultimate Warrior. After that punch, Warrior may have still been the rising star, but he wasn't so reckless anymore, especially when André was nearby. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan and André the Giant were friends in the early days, so it came as a surprise when the relationship quickly soured. One of the most legendary rivalries in professional wrestling history is the epic saga between Hulk Hogan and André the Giant. This rivalry not only captivated wrestling fans worldwide, but also helped shape the sport into the global spectacle it is today. Their story spans years of battles, alliances, betrayals, and unforgettable moments. A true saga that is still talked about decades later. Before they became household names, Hogan and André actually faced off multiple times in smaller wrestling circuits. Back in 1978 and 1979, Hogan, then wrestling under the name Terry Boulder, met André 5 times in Southwest Championship Wrestling. One of their most memorable early moments was an intense arm wrestling match in 1979 in Alabama. It ended in chaos when Hogan overturned the table, and his manager got involved, causing the match to end without a clear winner. Hogan joined the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, now WWE, in 1979, just as André was already a 6-year veteran of the company. Their first WWF matches took place in 1980, with André as the fan favorite, face, and Hogan playing the villain, heel. They met 16 times that year, with André winning most matches, but many ended without a decisive finish, adding to the drama. At notable events like Showdown at Shea in New York and matches in Pennsylvania, Hogan managed to body slam André, a move that would later become legendary, though André usually came out on top. During this period, Hogan's character was more aggressive. In one match, he even loaded his elbow pad with brass knuckles and struck André, causing him to bleed. Despite such dirty tactics, André would rally back and win. This early rivalry was intense, but laid the groundwork for the legendary feud to come. By 1981, Hogan had left WWF to pursue opportunities elsewhere, including a role in Rocky III and wrestling for the American Wrestling Association, Canon AWA, Hojas. André also wrestled there occasionally. Interestingly, Hogan and André put their rivalry aside and teamed up as partners from 1981 to 1983, fighting against common enemies like Nick Bockwinkel and members of Bobby the Brain, Heenan's notorious Heenan family. Their tag team was dominant, often winning matches against top opponents. When Hogan returned to WWF in 1984, their friendship seemed strong. Hogan's crowning moment that year was winning the WWF World Heavyweight Championship from the Iron Sheik, and André was there to celebrate with him. They even teamed up in tag matches, defeating big teams and continuing their alliance. But all friendships in wrestling storylines are fragile, especially when championships and pride are involved. In 1987, things took a dramatic turn. André rejoined WWF and tensions started to build. What began as mutual respect slowly turned cold. During an episode of Piper's Pit, a popular wrestling talk segment, André surprised everyone by appearing with Hogan's old rival, Bobby Heenan. André accused Hogan of hiding behind their friendship to avoid defending his championship against him. The moment that truly shocked fans was when André ripped off Hogan's shirt and crucifix necklace, causing Hogan to bleed. This was a physical and symbolic betrayal that set the stage for their greatest conflict. The build-up continued with a series of intense confrontations. Hogan was asked point-blank if he would face André at WrestleMania III, and he emphatically agreed. Their friendship, now shattered, was a central theme, making the upcoming match more emotional and compelling. WrestleMania III, held in 1987, is one of the most famous wrestling events of all time, largely because of Hogan vs. André. André was billed as a giant monster weighing 525 pounds, and despite the pain his body was in, he was still a formidable force. The match itself was electrifying. Hogan did something that had rarely been seen before. He body-slammed André in front of over 93,000 fans at the Pontiac Silverdome. This moment became known as the Body Slam, heard around the world. Hogan followed up with his signature running leg drop to win the match and retain the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Though this was billed as the first time Hogan body-slammed André, they had done so multiple times in the past. Nonetheless, the spectacle of the moment and the size difference made it unforgettable. After WrestleMania III, André took some time off, but the rivalry was far from over. In 1987 and 1988, André and Hogan were involved in more dramatic storylines, fueled by André's alliance with Bobby Heenan and Hogan's ongoing battles defending his title. André claimed he was cheated out of the title when Hogan body slammed him in a match, where the referee's count was controversial. This led to demands for investigations and rematches, further stirring fan excitement. The two even captained opposing teams at the inaugural Survivor Series event in 1987. Their showdown was interrupted by other wrestlers, leading to chaos but keeping their tension alive. André emerged as the sole survivor, pinning Bam Bam Bigelow, while Hogan's frustration boiled over. Their rivalry reached new heights during the main event in 1988, a live broadcast on NBC watched by over 33 million people. André shocked the world by defeating Hogan to win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, but the victory was surrounded by controversy. The referee was distracted, missing that Hogan's shoulders were never fully pinned. Immediately after the match, André handed the championship to billionaire Ted DiBiase, but WWF President Jack Tunney declared the transaction invalid, vacating the title. It was revealed that the referee was actually a twin brother, pretending to officiate the match, adding to the drama. To resolve the championship chaos, WWF held a 14-wrestler tournament at WrestleMania 4. Both Hogan and André received byes and were set to face off in the quarterfinals. But their match ended in a double disqualification, leaving the title open for Randy "Macho Man" Savage to win. After WrestleMania 4, Hogan took a break from wrestling to focus on acting, and the rivalry with André simmered down. Though they crossed paths occasionally, their feud was largely paused. Interest in the Hogan-André feud reignited briefly in the summer of 1988, culminating in a steel cage match at WrestleFest, where Hogan once again triumphed. Their rivalry, filled with iconic moments, unforgettable matches, and emotional twists, became a cornerstone of professional wrestling history. It helped launch WWF into mainstream popularity and cemented both men as legends. The Hogan-André rivalry wasn't just about two wrestlers battling in a ring. It was a classic story of friendship turned rivalry, of giants clashing both physically and emotionally. Their matches told a story that fans could connect with: loyalty, betrayal, struggle, and triumph. And it wasn't just the moves or the size difference that captured imaginations, but the human drama that unfolded alongside the physical battles. To this day, their rivalry is remembered not only for the incredible athleticism, but also for the storytelling that brought professional wrestling to a whole new level. The image of Hogan body-slamming André is iconic, symbolizing the underdog's triumph and the drama that makes wrestling such a beloved form of entertainment. Randy Savage. André the Giant is often remembered as one of the most beloved figures in WWE history. For over 2 decades, he was a major attraction in professional wrestling and became a pop culture icon thanks to his role in the cult classic The Princess Bride. Fans adored him, and many of his peers respected him. But that doesn't mean he got along with everyone. Despite being known for liking just about everyone he worked with, there were a few wrestlers André simply couldn't stand. 2 of the biggest names on that short list were fellow WWE Hall of Famers, Macho Man Randy Savage and The Ultimate Warrior. Both Savage and Warrior were massive stars in WWE. They each held the WWE Championship and headlined major events like WrestleMania. And as expected, their paths eventually crossed with André's, both in the ring and backstage. André's wrestling journey began early. By the time he was 12, he stood over 6 feet tall. He started wrestling professionally in the early 1960s in France, then gained attention in Japan, and later became a major star in Montreal, Canada. In 1973, he debuted in WWE and quickly became one of the company's top attractions. His incredible size alone drew crowds, and he didn't need a championship belt to get over with the fans. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, André was one of WWE's biggest stars, famously helping to sell out Madison Square Garden time and time again. His most legendary moment came at WrestleMania 3, where he faced Hulk Hogan in front of 93,173 fans at the Pontiac Silverdome. He had turned heel for that match and continued to play a villain for several years, feuding with top babyfaces, including Savage and Warrior. It's no secret that André had certain pet peeves. One of the biggest? Baby oil. Many wrestlers used it to make their muscles shine under the lights. But André hated it, and no one wore more baby oil than Macho Man Randy Savage. According to Savage's brother, Lanny Poffo, the issue became personal. He told the Tampa Bay Times André hated baby oil, but Randy wouldn't stop wearing it. He stubbornly said André's gimmick is being a giant and mine is baby oil. He never backed down from André, and they never got along because of it. But it wasn't just the baby oil that bothered André. His daughter, Robin Christensen-Russimoff, once spoke at a New York Comic-Con panel and shared another reason her father disliked Savage: steroids. She said André had no tolerance for anyone who used them, and he believed Savage did. So while André may have been the gentle giant to most, his relationships with both Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior were rocky at best. Whether it was over oil, steroids, or in-ring behavior, André didn't hesitate to show his disapproval. And with a man of his size and presence, that was never something to take lightly. Which of these feuds do you think was the worst? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.